that at the time were regarded as impolitic, impolite, dangerous, uncivil, uncouth. In Do the Right Thing, he advanced the vocabulary of race in film. And to understand why that was as daring as in fact it was, I want to put it in context a little bit, very, very briefly. There had been in film, once the sort of Stepan-Petchik era died out in film in the mid-40s, then you entered what I call the liberal era in terms of films. And in the liberal era in films, films like The Defiant Ones, Home of the Brave, 1948, Sidney Poitier's first film, No Way Out, which was released in 1950, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, In the Heat of the Night, many films of that sort. The liberal era film was based on a certain premise, that blacks are really decent people, and we'll show that in these movies, generally with Sidney Poitier, sometimes with others, that they're really nice people, and given a chance, would do just as well as whites, and that no civilized white would really be abusive to these people, because they're really not all that bad after all. That was sort of the underlying theme of many of the liberal era films. I don't mean to denigrate them, but that was sort of the theme. And often in those films, the central struggle was in the conscience of the white protagonist to engage the better angels of his nature and overcome his own bigotry. Rod Steiger in the Heat of the Night, Tony Curtis in The Defiant Ones. So that was sort of the liberal approach in terms of racial vocabulary in film at the time that Lee was contemplating Do the Right Thing. But a series of events occurred that propelled Lee in a different direction. Because in 1989, 70 years after Red Summer, after MICHEAUX's Red Summer, we had something approaching another Red Summer. And it had been building up for quite a while, and there was a lot of talk, particularly in New York City, perhaps in other parts of the country, about a long, hot summer, and the dangers of a long, hot summer. Long, hot summer presumably being a time when race riots might occur. Now, as I say, building up to this feared long, hot summer of 1989, there have been a number of things which had occurred. I just want to go through some of them. 1982, Willie Turks, a black transit worker, had been pulled from a car and beaten to death by a mob. In 1985, 25-year-old Michael Stewart was arrested for spraying graffiti on a subway wall. This is all in New York City. And he died of a beating before getting to the station, police station. The arresting officers were later acquitted after trial. In 1986, Eleanor Bumpers, a deranged, infirm, 300-pound black woman, was shot and killed by police during an eviction in which they claimed she lunged at them with a knife. 1985, 17-year-old Edmund Perry recently graduated from Phillips Exeter Academy and a recipient of a scholarship to Stanford University, was shot and killed, and his brother arrested by police alleging an attempted robbery. His brother was later acquitted by a jury. In 1986, 23-year-old Michael Griffith was struck and killed fleeing a mob after his car broke down in a neighborhood where, according to the mob, quote, he didn't belong. In 1988, Yvonne Smallwood, a 28-year-old black woman arrested after a minor traffic accident, died after 6 days in police custody, and so on. And these incidents played out against the background of worsening racial climate in the nation as a whole. Ronald Reagan's excoriation of welfare queens implicitly defined black women as leeches on society. And that gave way to George Bush's Willie Horton ad in the 1988 presidential campaign, implicitly defining the black male as a lethal menace to society. The one demonized black women, the other demonized black men. In this climate, then, this new incipient red summer, Lee's first inclination was to make a liberal era type film. He wrote in his journal, quote, "I want to show the black and working class. No welfare rolls here, pal. Just hard-working people." In other words, he wanted to make a film that conveyed the message that blacks were honest and responsible and hard-working folks whom no fair-minded white would abuse. But as these incidents, the kinds of incidents that I've just recited to you, as they continued to occur, his conception of this new film that he was going to make changed. And he made several decisions, which eventually yielded Do the Right Thing. He decided first that his film was not going to be another feel-good exercise, and it wasn't going to be another plea for tolerance. He decided second, it was going to be about the black underclass in Bedford-Stuyvesant. This is a section of Brooklyn. And he decided it would be about the dreams and hopes and fears of people who are on the margin, people who are struggling to get by day to day. And that he would try to capture the rhythm and pace of a single neighborhood. And that he would show not just black life in that neighborhood, but Hispanics, Orientals, whites, shopkeepers, police, all mixing together, understanding and not understanding each other. In other words, he was reaching for something that was closer to the tensions, hopes, fears, anxieties of real life on a real street on a hot summer day in New York and other cities. And he's decided in terms of having his film take place on the hottest day